Who are we? For most of the cases, we know an answer to this question, but what we don't think about is that how much of our true self do we show when we answer it? We know what our fundamental values are, what we are made of, what we like about ourselves, what we disfavor, and generally what is out there that makes us who we truly are. On the other hand, it might take us years to form and find our true self. For me, it started in America. As an exchange student, I heard this question many times during the program, and literally or allegorically, people asked me who I was. And this is when connection to my culture, nationality, individual identity, and history that stretched from centuries ago came into the picture. And how on earth could I have included everything into just one conversation? Being part of Flex brought me lots of opportunities, but especially it helped me find my true self, which of course later on got molded and grew bigger. But this program happens at such an important stage of our lives that it is inevitable for participants to start thinking of ourselves deeper and try to show it to the outside world. This question itself raised lots of inquiries within me. And because in my new surroundings I had to introduce myself towards everyone, it also provoked lots of authenticity within me. It was in America that I discovered how proud I was to be Georgian. Of course, I was still searching what it meant for me. But we are raised to love our country from the early childhood. I never really felt it until I left it, though. Also, it was in America that I got insured what I wanted to do about my future profession. Despite of the fact that my family expected me to become an English teacher, this was not my passion. I wanted to connect my life with psychology, which I later did. These two pieces of my personality started to initiate in the United States, and now I'm very happy to look back and see that during transformational stage of my life, I was actually able to find very important pieces of myself, which of course later on became fundaments of my individuality. But additionally, finding myself brought me something that nothing or no one else could. It brought me freedom. Freedom of making my choices independently, despite of the fact what my family expected me to have. Freedom in my interests, despite what my friends wanted me to have. Freedom of thinking about gender equality issues and other sensitive matters that exist in our society. And eventually, all of this brought freedom within me. A journey of self-discovery is a lifelong experience, and there are various theories on how to do this. Mine started during the teenage years, and it's a still ongoing project. But self-discovery is especially finding our purpose in life that we all have. Mine was psychology, and despite of the obstacles, I still followed it. Self-discovery is especially difficult in a closed society like Georgia, where there are so many rules in place that it is almost prohibited to show our true self to the outside world. Well, for example, if a boy wants to cry, he cannot do that because he needs to man up. And if a girl decides not to have a family, her purpose of life is lost. And there are so many other stereotypical demands that exist in our society that it is damaging. Well, if years ago, only acceptable professions were a doctor and lawyer, nowadays, geology and engineering doesn't seem so unacceptable either. So maybe, if we try to show our true self to the outside world, it becomes as acceptable as these new professions are becoming to be. Well, because of the societal expectations, I often had and have to push myself through the limits that bring self-destruction within me. But I haven't realized how much damage that was bringing to me until I started to self-reflect on them. For example, this beautiful tradition of Supra, which is a total food haven and reason for a food coma, is wonderful. but it has many rules in place. And I haven't realized how bothering it was for me to listen to hours of toasting about various superficial values that Toastmasters are proposing on these gatherings. It was bugging me inside, but now I know when I've heard enough, it is time for me to leave, because otherwise it's bringing up lots of negative emotions within me. So, if before I would just sit back and get annoyed, nowadays I just respectfully leave the table. Luckily, not all super gatherings are this way, and I love the hospitality element behind this tradition. I love it that hosts do everything possible to make their guests feel comfortable. But based on this just one observation, I found out that authenticity to my true self is the guarantee of that inner harmony I might be lacking from time to time because of the societal triggers. Well, I also started to realize that I am more than enough as an individual who I am, and there is no need in becoming who I'm expected to be by others. Rather, being myself is plenty. With this strategy, I brought myself freedom from the burden of others needing to accept me, because I started to accept myself. When we stay true to ourselves, we are exactly who we are supposed to be. Instead of others' expectations, we meet our own. Though, at times, if we don't know what that is, it's okay. Better to search for yourself sooner than later, because if we don't do it now, when or who else will? So be a little more you and a lot less them. Go find your true self. Thank you.